Now, from the area's leader in live local news, this is WYLN News, the area's #1 source of live local news and information in Luzerne, Schuylkill, Carbon, and Columbia counties. WYLN News starts now.
Good evening, and thank you for joining us on WYLN News. Here's a recap of our top stories from the week. Fire crews from Columbia and Luzerne counties responded to a second alarm fire in Beaver Township on Sunday afternoon. According to officials, crews were dispatched to the 1400 block of State Road in Beaver Township around 2:30 p.m. for reports of a structure fire and a brush fire. Upon arriving at the scene, officials report that the structure was well involved, with the siding on the residence melting. The brush fire was also reportedly moving up the mountain. Emergency crews from Beaver Township, Main Township, Bloomsburg, Sugarloaf, Catawissa, Mifflin Township, Espy, and Shenandoah all responded to the incident, and the scene was cleared within 3 hours. No injuries have been reported. A man from Luzerne County is facing multiple charges after police say he threatened 2 of his tenants. 55-year-old William Everett of Drums has been taken into custody following an incident on Friday morning. According to Butler Township Police, the incident took place at Everett's residence in Beech Mountain Lakes, where he was subletting a room to a male and female resident. Officials report that an argument had broken out between Everett and the 2 tenants that resulted in Everett pointing a firearm at one of the victims. Authorities say Everett fired a round from the gun directly behind one of the victims and began lighting an aerosol object while threatening to set fire to their air mattress. Officers arrived on scene and took Everett into custody as he exited the residence. While executing a search warrant, investigators discovered that Everett had rigged the doors where the tenants stayed with a deadbolt to which they had no key and barricaded the windows with lumber and wire. Everett has been charged with the discharge of a weapon in an occupied structure, 4 counts of terroristic threats, and 2 counts of unlawful restraint, among other charges in connection with the incident. Officials have reported that Dominion Voting Systems, Inc. has taken responsibility for a spelling error that has resulted in the cancellation of over 6,000 ballots in Luzerne County. According to county officials, voters in the 119th Legislative District began reporting the misspelling of Representative Alec J. Rincavige's last name on Friday morning. In response to the issue, county officials say the Board of Elections reached out to Representative Rincavige to discuss solutions. In the end, both parties agreed that the ballots would be canceled and that postcards would be sent to inform the affected voters. Officials say the Board of Elections will be sending out new ballots to the voters impacted by the mistake. Residents who do not receive a correct ballot in the mail by October 26th can contact the Election Bureau at 570-825-1715.
A wanted man was taken into custody in Hazleton on October 9th after fleeing from officers. According to Hazleton Police, an active warrant was out for the arrest of David Smith when officers attempted to initiate a traffic stop in the area of 156 South Fillmore Court in Hazleton. Officers say Smith was a passenger in the vehicle and that the driver fled from police at a high rate of speed on State Route 309. When officers located the vehicle a short time later, David Smith was found walking in the area of South Church Street. Police say Smith fled from officers on foot into the woods but was successfully apprehended. According to police, one officer suffered a serious but non-life-threatening injury to his shoulder and chest during the foot pursuit. Smith has been charged with resisting arrest, evading arrest on foot, drug possession, and drug paraphernalia. He is currently behind bars at the Luzerne County Correctional Facility, unable to post bail.
A man is facing charges in Schuylkill County after police say he sexually assaulted a child. East Union Township Police say Christopher Rubio Florentino of Oneida was taken into custody on Tuesday following a 2-month-long investigation. According to court documents, Florentino has been charged with sexually assaulting and abusing a child multiple times over several years. The charges against Florentino include involuntary devious sexual intercourse, aggravated indecent assault, indecent exposure, child endangerment, and corruption of minors. He is currently behind bars at the Schuylkill County Prison, unable to post his $100,000 straight cash bail.
The Luzerne County Board of Elections has announced that 8 polling locations in the county have been changed for the upcoming election. The changed polling places are as follows. In the city of Pittston, Wards 2 and 3 have been moved from the Pittston Memorial Library to St. Joseph Morello Church at 237 William Street. In the city of Wilkes-Barre, Wards 10 and 11 have been moved from Marymount Charter School to St. Nicholas Church at 226 South Washington Street. Wards 15 and 16 in Wilkes-Barre City have been moved from Kistler Elementary School to St. Aloysius Patton Hall at 143 Division Street. And lastly, in Wright Township, the polling places for District 1 and 2 have been moved to the Wright Township Municipal Building at 321 South Mountain Boulevard. Coming up on WYLN News, Chris Fulmer leads us down the path through history with Pittston, Part 4. Plus, we check in with State Representative Dane Watrow on Watrow's Weekly Update. And stay right here on WYLN. We'll be right back.
WYLN News brought to you by Lehigh Valley Health Network Express Care. Now open on the Airport Beltway in Hazel Township. Walk-in care 365 days a year for common illness and minor injuries.
My name is Charlie. I am 8, and the forecast for tomorrow is sunny.
We want your child to be our WYLN Weather Kid. Your child can be our feature weather reporter of the day on WYLN News and WYLN social media posts just by using your smartphone or any video recording device. It's easy. All ages are welcome, from toddlers to teens. To find out how, go to the weather section of WYLNTV.com or look for our post about it on the WYLN News Facebook page. Submit your Weather Kid video today.
Your guide to everything Pocono Mountains is PTN, the Pocono Television Network. Watch PTN on WYLN.
If you're looking for an affordable pre-owned car or truck, Chairs Auto Sales has a great lineup of clean, dependable, and quality vehicles. Stop in at 610 North Broad Street in West Hazleton, 570-454-7229. Chairs is proud to be celebrating 70 years in business.
Hey, it's Justin from Grand Central, and our trained sleep professionals are here to help you sleep like never before. With an extensive line of Sealy and Stearns & Foster mattresses, we are sure to find you the right mattress at the right price. Free delivery and removal, interest-free financing for up to 60 months, and same or next day delivery on select models.
And don't forget, everyday low prices. Stop in to one of our 2 locations, Route 93 in Nescopec,
or downtown Hazleton,
and see why Northeast and Central Pennsylvania sleeps better with Grand Central.
WYLN TV 35 is expanding and is on the hunt for a dynamic salesperson to join our vibrant team. If you've got the passion and the drive, we want to hear from you. Send your resume to the email displayed on your screen. Don't miss this great opportunity.
Come shoot at Whitetail Preserve 118 Boulevard Road in Bloomsburg. Their skeet, trap, and sporting clay fields are professionally designed, and all stations are handicapped accessible. Whitetail Preserve has resident shooting instructors certified by the NRA in shotgun, rifle, pistol, home safety, and personal protection in the home. Whitetail can also cater any size event, whether it be a private party, corporate event, or wedding. Call 570-384-2314 or 570-790-8969.
Hi everybody. This week on Let's Talk Chiropractic, an exciting show. Jen ruptured a disc at work. She was fired. We got her better. She got an attorney, got settlement, and has a beautiful life. So check in on a great show this week.
A Path Through History is sponsored by the Old Jail Museum, 128 West Broad Street in Jim Thorpe. Call 570-325-5259 or visit them online at theoldjailmuseum.com.
Sometimes the basis for critical Supreme Court cases can come from unlikely sources. On the morning of July 27, 1934, Harry Tompkins was walking home alongside the Erie Railroad's tracks just outside Pittston. It was then that a train came down the tracks, and the train crew on board had failed to notice that one of the car's doors was wide open. The door knocked Tompkins down onto the tracks, where the train ran over his right arm, crushing it badly enough that it eventually needed to be amputated. Tompkins sued the Erie Railroad for negligence, and since the company was headquartered in New York rather than Pennsylvania, the case was heard in federal court. The court agreed with Tompkins' claims and awarded him $30,000 in damages. The Erie Railroad appealed the decision, and when an appeals court reached the same decision, they appealed again to the U.S. Supreme Court. In a 7-2 decision rendered on April 25, 1938, the federal justices, in a decision written by Justice Louis Brandeis, overturned the lower court decision, declaring that state law rather than federal common law would have to be used when dealing with cases that span several states. Many legal scholars consider Erie Railroad Company v. Tompkins to be one of the most consequential decisions in Supreme Court history, given it established the modern precedent of diversity jurisdiction. In the wake of the court's decision, Tompkins' case was referred down to the appeals courts, who, with the federal justice's decision in mind, officially reversed their earlier ruling in the case. Tompkins thus had the misfortune of ultimately walking away with nothing in the end. By the 1920s, coal production in Pittston entered a slump. It was at this time, though, that the garment industry started taking root in town. Fueled by former New York shops looking to get out of that city's strict unionization, they soon made Pittston a national leader for clothing manufacturing. This success, however, came with a price, as the workers were underpaid and overworked too often. And many of the shops were mob-controlled, with the leading figure pulling the strings being notorious crime lord Russell Buffalino. It was into this toxic environment that Min Matheson arrived in 1944. She and her husband Bill had been sent by the International Ladies Garment Workers Union to unionize the Wyoming Valley, and quickly realized that the mob would hold their efforts back. Matheson, however, did not back down from the challenge. The mob had murdered her brother in New York for trying to organize their shops there, and she was ready to take them on. She began by challenging Buffalino's attempts to suppress the votes of his female workers, which had them sign the register but let their husbands vote for them. Matheson's selected volunteer, Carmela Salatino, refused to do so to Buffalino's overseer unless she could vote herself. When this gambit failed, Matheson, the ILGWU, successfully overcame the mob's voter suppression in the area. Later efforts, such as 1958's dress strike, effectively established firm union control over the shops and broke the mob's power. When Matheson left the Wyoming Valley in 1963, there were 168 unionized clothing factories in the area with over 11,000 union members, up from 6 businesses and 650 members when she'd arrived 19 years earlier. Matheson later became a founding member of the National Organization for Women. She and Bill would return to the Wyoming Valley in 1972, where she'd be instrumental in getting flood relief to the area after Hurricane Agnes. She died in 1992. By the 1940s, coal mining in Pittston had declined from its peak, but was still a firm employer in the town. The dangers of the work still existed too, though. On the early morning of November 27, 1942, they became apparent to the whole town. An old mine in the town's Eagle Shaft that had not been used since 1868 abruptly caved in underneath Pittston, cracking the earth for half a square mile. The largest of numerous cracks was 150 feet long and too deep for bystanders to see the bottom. Over 200 homes were damaged, and many were without gas or water until the damage was repaired. It was during this glum time for the borough that Pittston residents saw another of their native sons set the sports world on fire, this time on the football field. Charlie Trippi had begun as a star for the then Pittston High Panthers. He committed to the University of Georgia in 1942. Although his time on campus was interrupted by World War II service, he helped lead Georgia to wins in the Rose and Sugar Bowls, and during his time there, finished second in the Heisman Trophy vote in 1946. Trippi was drafted by the then Chicago Cardinals and signed to what was then one of the most lucrative contracts in the young NFL's history. In an 8-year career with the franchise, playing halfback and quarterback, he accumulated 6,053 yards of total offense, the most of any player in NFL history up to that time, and helped lead the Cardinals to the 1947 NFL Championship, the franchise's most recent world title to date. After his retirement, Trippi coached the Cardinals' backfield through 1965. He was inducted into the Pro Football Hall of Fame in 1968. Charlie Trippi died in 2022 at age 100. Back in his hometown, Pittston Aries Football Stadium is named Charlie Trippi Stadium in his honor. 30 years after Trippi played his last game in Pittston, another football phenom took the field there. By then, Pittston Area School District had been formed from the merger of Pittston High with high schools in Avoca, Hughestown, DuPont, and Duryea in 1966, and the team had changed its name to the Patriots. Jimmy Cefalo earned All-State honors during his time at the school between 1970 and 1973, rushing for over 4,000 total yards. He would continue the success at Penn State, where he'd be named Most Valuable Player of the 1976 Gator Bowl, and then a 6-year career with the Miami Dolphins from 1978 to 1984, in which he appeared in 2 Super Bowls and caught, with his face mask, Dan Marino's pass in 1984 that broke the NFL's record for most touchdowns in a season. After retirement, Cefalo pursued numerous media jobs, including a brief stint as host of the game show Trump Card. Drive-ins rose up across America in the 1940s and 50s. Numerous outdoor theaters would take root throughout the Wyoming Valley during this time, and the Pittston area would get 2 of its own around this time. The first, the Comerford Drive-In, opened on September 4, 1948 on Route 315 between Pittston and DuPont. Carved out of a mountainside, the Comerford had room for 1,000 cars, and its 15 ramps were tiered to allow each row an unobstructed view of the screen, which measured a then rather large 60 by 40 feet. Drive-in attendants would volunteer to wipe each car's windshields for a clean view of the movies, and would take food orders from guests who did not want to walk to the concession stand. The Comerford Drive-In closed in 1983, and a Walmart now stands on its site. The second Pittston area drive-in, the Riverview Drive-In, opened on September 3, 1954 with the Victor Mature film Demetrius and the Gladiators. It had a capacity for 600 cars. The Riverview Drive-In operated through 1972, and a decade later it had been replaced by housing. By the 1980s, both coal and clothing manufacturing declined precipitously in Pittston, and the town was searching for revitalization. One avenue came from the area's tomatoes. Ever since the 1960s, the Pittston area had crowed to the world that grew some of the best-tasting tomatoes in the world. In 1983, several residents, including P.J. Melvin, Ken Skaz, and Ann Bradbury, met to discuss ways to improve Pittston's image. During the meeting, Skaz brought up that his neighbor, Val Delia, was a major tomato aficionado, and that perhaps that could be the basis of a major event. Skaz and Delia signed off with the concept with then-Mayor Tom Walsh, who approved of it, and the first Pittston Tomato Festival began in 1984, featuring the very first tomato run. From that beginning, the Tomato Festival has become a major event in the borough every August, with food, parade, music, and a large tomato fight among events that residents have come to look forward to. On March 15, 1993, a massive fire broke out at the LeBaire building on North Main Street. Among those who answered the call to put it out were firefighters John Lombardo and Len Insulaco. They and their colleagues broke through the wall of the building next door to try and get at the blaze. What they and the others were unaware of, however, was that the fire had already weakened the LeBaire building's floor. As Lombardo and Insulaco made their way through the building, the floor abruptly collapsed underneath them, sending them down into the flames along with tons of debris. It would be several hours later when a backhoe had been commissioned to lift up the sidewalk outside to allow additional access to the basement that the other firefighters could safely look for them, but by then Lombardo and Insulaco were dead. The men's memories live on in Pittston with a monument at the corner of Kennedy Boulevard and Water Street. The adjacent bridge is also now known as the Firefighters Bridge.
Welcome back to Feel Good Friday. I'm joined here with Dr. John. Dr. John, how's it going?
Ryan, in your busy life, thank you for coming to my office.
Oh, you know, I love doing this stuff, but today we're going to talk about some important things, including heart health.
You know, as a chiropractor for 44 years, true stories, I get maybe 20 people a year who go to the emergency room what they think is a cardiac event. Tightness in their chest, pain in their neck, maybe down either arm. The ER has called me. They'll say, John, we did echocardiograms and different exams. Their heart's fine, but it's a patient who was sleeping or watching a football game laying on a couch. So as the spine sags, it pulls on the ribs into the chest. So again, if you think you're having a heart attack, go to the ER room. But to me, if you're laying on a couch, stop laying on a couch, get the spine adjusted, because not just can chiropractic get rid of the chest pain, but overall heart health. I go for 2 miles of a walk every day. I'm losing some pounds, I want to lose a couple more. I don't smoke. I drink very rarely. But even attitude, you have to have a calm, peaceful personality. Many people with heart health, they're perfectionists or they're driven, and they ignore the personality, but there are personality profiles that affect cardiology. So your diet, your exercise, your mind, and your posture, all of that for heart health.
A lot of important info, and I'd like to thank Dr. John for joining us on this Feel Good Friday. We'll see you next time.
Penn State Hazleton is improving the lives of others, starting in our community.
Providing degrees that meet the needs of the area.
Fueling entrepreneurship and contributing more than $36 million annually to the state's economy.
Researching the health of our local ecosystem on the Susquehanna River.
Together, our impact keeps growing, backed by the strength of 24 campuses and 700,000 alumni.
SJ Kowalski is your Mitsubishi Diamond contractor. They can install a Mitsubishi electric Mr. Slim ductless heating and cooling system. Mr. Slim systems are designed to make any living space in your home inviting. You can have a different temperature control for every room in your home. The money-saving technology can save you 25 to 50% on your heating bill. For Mitsubishi, Renai, and trained comfort specialists, call SJ Kowalski at 570-455-2600.
PPW Nation, get ready for the best of PPW Season 2. Join Paul Bowe, E. Julius Kuiper, Alexander Bravado, Tom Mitchell, and Alex Watt as we take you down memory lane and relive some of the best PPW matches of all time. Saturdays at 5 p.m., Sundays at 10 p.m., only on WYLN.
WYLN and Lehigh Valley Health Network will be showcasing an inside look at local farmers all summer long and into the fall, fresh from the farm. See what great fresh food you can pick up every Wednesday on WYLN TV 35. Fresh from the Farm is brought to you by Lehigh Valley Health Network Express Care. Now open on the Airport Beltway in Hazel Township. Walk-in care 365 days a year.
Welcome back to Watro's Weekly Update. I'm joined here as always with State Representative Dane Watro. Dane, how's it going?
Very good. Thank you again for having me. I really appreciate it.
Always appreciate having you on. So last week on here, we were talking about the approval for the Shenandoah grant for their SEBA program. For those who don't know, that is the Center for Education, Business, and Arts facility, and it's part of this big expansion project in Shenandoah where they want to revitalize downtown Shenandoah. And I saw you got that grant approved. Yeah. So if you could tell us a bit about that.
Super exciting. So that's phase 2 of the grant, or phase 2 of the project overall, and that was $1.7 million. I came back to the Schuylkill County, Shenandoah portion of our district. So Senator and I are very happy to announce that grant that was released last week. I know last week we were sitting here talking, it's like, I think it's there, but we're not too sure, so we didn't want to say it. But good news is we're happy to report this week they did receive that phase 2 portion for $1.7 million, and it's a long time coming. I'm glad that they got it. This should another step closer to phasing out the entire project to get that complete.
Absolutely, yeah, it's really great to see how that got approved. And do you have any idea of I guess a timeline of how we can see the progress of this project go into place into next year?
So actually, if you go there right now, a few months ago, you went there, it was an empty lot with a wooden fence up there. Now it's under construction. So depending on the weather, it's really undetermined when it's going to be done, but it's going to be done, I would say, within the next few months for sure. So I'm very excited to see the progress as well.
Yeah. Sounds like a very exciting project down there in Shenandoah. It's really great to see that they got that approved for them. Right. I know you also have another upcoming event which will take place on October 19th, or October 29th, I'm sorry. It's a red carpet event with the Chamber of Commerce here in Hazleton. You'll be down at the Top of the A's restaurant for that event, so you can tell us a bit about that.
Yeah, if I just go back up the Chamber, and I want to talk about like WYLN and how beneficial it is, like the chamber and what you all do, is getting good information out to the people. And this is going to be a platform that I'm going to be able to discuss what's going on in the state and what we're doing as far as how we're working down in Harrisburg and different bills and how we're closing out this legislative session. So the chamber usually asks somebody to come and speak at it, and this one at the end of October is my turn. And that's when I said I get the opportunity to discuss the day-to-day activities, what's going on, what I'm doing, how I'm working, just like you give me the opportunity. So I can't do what I do, and I said it before numerous times, and I'm very sincere when I say it, without people like you, Wyln, the chamber, my staff. I can't get the information out there. So I'm extremely thankful for everything that you do, Wyln and the chamber and organizations like that, to let us get the good information out to the people. So I thank you very much.
Absolutely. Yeah, we always appreciate having you on here and always sharing this very useful information to the people of our community here in Hazleton and even areas outside the Hazleton area as well. So
right. The chamber keeps my office very busy. We're weekly doing at least 2 to 3 ribbon cuttings a day. From the Laurel Mall recently, we spent a lot of time up there the last couple weeks, to just in the community with different organizations and businesses opening up. Great entrepreneurs in the greater Hazleton area. That's the Hazleton Chamber, led by Mary Malone and Leanne. They do a fantastic job. And their chamber's about business, very pro-business. So those 2 women right there are leading the way for Hazleton Chamber.
Absolutely. We cover a lot of events here with the Chamber of Commerce and the many great events that they do here. And it's really nice to see how the community has grown so much thanks to their contribution to the Hazleton area.
Yes, 100%. Yep, you're absolutely right.
Absolutely. And as always, I want to thank Dane Watcher for joining us here on Watcher's Weekly Update. We'll see you next time.
Your guide to everything Pocono Mountains is PTN, the Pocono Television Network. Tune in and see all the unique places to stay and things to do in the Pocono Mountains. Watch PTN on WYLN.
Contact Pete Kasalika for a home and auto quote today.
FNL Doors, your trusted overhead door supplier for over 50 years, providing quality products and services to Eastern PA and beyond with 2 strategic locations. They carry garage doors from leading manufacturers in the industry like Rainer. They guarantee parts and service for your home or business, from new construction to replacement doors, inspections, and service calls. FNL Doors stands behind every job, taking pride in the work they do. Call 800-344-DOOR or visit FNL Doors online at fldoors.com or visit their showrooms in Hazel Township or Schuylkill Haven. Attention WYLN viewers, WYLN TV can now be seen on the Hazleton Service Electric Cablevision HD tier, channel 507, and over the air at 35.1. WYLN, we're your local network. Come shoot at Whitetail Preserve 118 Boulevard Road in Bloomsburg. Their skeet, trap, and sporting clay fields are professionally designed, and all stations are handicapped accessible. Whitetail Preserve has resident shooting instructors certified by the NRA in shotgun, rifle, pistol, home safety, and personal protection in the home. Whitetail can also cater any size event, whether it be a private party, corporate event, or wedding. Call 570-384-2314 or 570-790-8969. Hey, did you know WYLN posts news stories and other bonus content on social media all week long? The Weather Kids, Fresh from the Farm, Everyday Heroes, Let's Talk Sports, Feel Good Friday, daily news stories, and more. Visit WYLNTV.com, Facebook, and YouTube to check it out. WYLN, the local